Today we are going to talk about MunguGod Politic. MunguGod Politic. For bad and weakness, for good and strength, focus, creation and blessing. MunguGod, African God, the mother of all humankind, loves us all. MunguGod wants us to understand politic, especially the American politic, not in deep, just roughly. American politic. Many years ago, a few hundred years ago, British in England, they wanted to expand. They figured out that colonizing countries was gonna be not very beneficiary. Colonizing countries will not be very much perfect. They figured out that to be strong is for them to expand. So British decided to create a project or program called the expansion program, in which therefore British expanded to Canada, US, Australia, and New Zealand. That is honest to British. That's what the British idea figured out. The best thing to do is to expand, in which they came up with the expansion program, and they became Canada, US, Australia, and New Zealand. So those countries is still British. It's nothing else. Everything else is politic. As we mentioned earlier in our Autism religion, that politic means fooling. So what you hear and see, you have to judge and use your own mind, your own perspective, because it's simply fooling. So therefore, US is British. Most people do not know that, because US did not get independence from British. US did not get independence because US did not fight against British for independence. They only had argument on taxation. US did not like to be charged way too much taxes by the British. So they had argument, and they had like, what do they call it? It's not civil war, but independent war, but it's not independent. So therefore, US till today is British. And this case, right now, we are having a lot of problems in justice. A lot of people of color fighting for justice. They said justice, discrimination against people of color. But there is no way you can solve it. No one can solve the problem of injustice in America unless the Native Americans themselves become independent and free and happy. In order for the US to be independent, or to be freedom for all people, justice, the Native Americans must be happy and satisfied. Another thing is that of what's going on today, we have to vote for Trump. We have to vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the best man for America. If you love America, you have to vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump loves America, and Donald Trump will make America great again. And MunguGod says Donald Trump is not all that great. It's not necessarily clean. It's not necessarily wonderful. He has a lot of problems, a lot of issues. Most people know that. But he is the man to make this country great again. So we have to vote for Donald Trump if you love this country. And this is mainly because there is a big problem in this country. The big problem of this country called Wall Street. Wall Street. Wall Street is a big group of businesses or people that basically controlling the market in the world. But for today, they're just controlling the US market. And Wall Street's job was simply to support businesses to grow, to become benefitable. But unfortunately, Wall Street have been doing very bad lately. And what they do is that they outsource, meaning they're doing businesses somewhere else, like mostly China, or North American countries and African country, Indian, for labor, cheap labor. Wall Street have converted their technique for cheap labor, so they go to Taiwan or China. They get the phone done for like $20, and they come and sell the same phone for 200, 300 or more. So that's how Wall Street making money. But unfortunately, the jobs are done somewhere else, not in US. So US end up not having jobs and end up buying things for very high expense, which the same problem that happens called African economy. It's called African economy. African economy is giving resources away for little or nothing, and in return, they're buying those goods that were made for those resources. The goods that made from those resources, African buying for very high expense. That's called African market or African economy. African economy is giving resources, raw materials to other nations like European countries or China, and then Chinese or European countries will fabricate or refurnish or produce goods from the natural resources from Africa and selling them back to African for very high expense. That's called African market. So what's happening now to US? US is doing the same thing. It's doing African market. It's giving things away and buying for very high expense. The outcome of the American people do not have sufficient jobs, sufficient income, because the money has been transplanted or transformed from industrialized outside the country and new resources brought back to the US, and American people buying things. They see American people, they're happy for some reason. They feel like it's cheaper buying things made in China. But actually anything you buy from outside, it costs you. For example, most people do not understand how the economy works. If you produce things in your own country and sell to your own country, you don't improve financially. You just stay the same. If you produce things in your own country and sell to your own country, you don't improve. You just stay the same. The money is circulating in the country. But once you buy something outside the country, your money goes out. Once you buy things from outside country, your money goes out. Your economy goes down. So the more you buy things from outside countries, your money goes down. But if you sell things outside, you're exporting, then you make more money. You make money by exporting, you lose money by importing. So US is doing is exporting as much goods as possible, but as raw materials, and end up buying back with very high expense like cars, computers, cell phones, everything else made in somewhere else, not US. But Donald Trump, our president, makes this country great again by bringing the job back to America, making everything made in America, which is very good for America. But Wall Street is against that, and that's why Wall Street talking very bad things about Donald Trump to make him look bad. But actually, Donald Trump is good for American people. Now, people do not like Donald Trump. They say he's prejudiced. This country will always be prejudiced, as I mentioned earlier, unless Native Americans are happy. Always be prejudiced. There is nothing that they can do. But in order for people of color, such as black people, in order for them to do good, they will have to get this book. This book will improve the life of American blacks or all people of color. So African will have to invest. African America or African American, they have to invest in African countries by making African country producing their own resources, manufacturing and supply within African continent or selling abroad instead of always buying. In order for African American to get power in this country, in US, they will have to do so. So that is it for today. Let's vote for Donald Trump. He is the man if you love America. For bad and weakness, for good and strength, focus, creation and blessing. MunguGod, African God, the mother of all humankind, loves us all.